Well, thanks so much for talking to me. There are several things I want to talk to you about, but for those who might end up listening to this conversation, do you just want to introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Lonnie Jones. I reside in Irvington, New Jersey. I also reside in Florida. I'm sort of a snowbird. Because
Snowbird, running away from the cold.
you better believe it. And I'm a retired IT professional from UPS. I also, not really retired, but I was also a martial arts instructor where I maintain my own martial arts school here in Maplewood, New Jersey. And I'm an ordained minister with the African Methodist Episcopal Church, where I assist the current pastor of St. James AME Church in Newark, the Dr. Reverend Ronald L. Slaughter. And I'm 65 years old. I have a daughter who's 27. Not married. I was, but I'm not now. That happens. And I guess you'll probably ask me more questions, and I'll answer them as we go along.
Yeah, great. So I understand you have a recent cancer diagnosis. One of the things we're trying to accomplish is to help people understand how to recognize when something's gone wrong in their body. Also, how to talk to doctors, how to navigate the healthcare system. And I think you can help a lot of people just by telling your story. So why don't we start there? What happened? How were you diagnosed with cancer?
Well, what happened was while I was down in Florida, sometime around the first week of July, me and my daughter were having a discussion about coming back to New Jersey. I had some concerns about the way the COVID-19 was being handled, not just across the United States, but especially in Florida. And New Jersey and New York at that time had a better handle and control on COVID-19. Now, I had been feeling fine. I'd been working out. At that time, I was 246 pounds, but, pretty solid and in good shape. And I was doing racquetball 3 times a week. So my daughter decided she wanted to come to Jersey and hang out for a while. And I sat there and I thought, and I said, maybe I want to come to Jersey for a little bit. I do have a limousine business that I do part-time. And because of COVID, we only do corporate. There was really no activity. So I was just going to come up, hang out with some friends and family and just chill for a while now that the weather was better. And part of my thinking additionally was I did not want to get sick in Florida and be in the hospital because the way things were starting to accumulate in the hospital with COVID patients. And my fear was that if I got sick, had become sick, I did not want to be in that mess that I heard what was going on in New Jersey and New York until they got themselves together. So I packed up and came to Jersey, feeling fine, great, no problems, no issue. Like I said, even the week that I left, I had just finished playing racquetball the day before I left. I left on a Thursday. Around Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, I started feeling not too well. And by the time Tuesday night, Wednesday morning came, things seemed to go down the hill. I started noticing when I went to the bathroom that my urine had turned to like a brownish orange color. And because of being a martial artist, I'm really into health food. I do a lot of juicing, carrots, spinach, kale, beets, the whole 9 yards, sort of a health nut. I do eat a little bit of junk and sweet because I have a sweet tooth, but nothing heavy and nothing over the top. So I consider myself a very healthy person. Plus, I know I was teaching martial arts that it's very important to stay hydrated. So I was very careful about what my urine looked like because your urine should be either a very light yellow or actually clear, which means—
That's right. You know a lot about that. So what did you think when you saw dark urine?
I thought something's not right. I said, that's not normal for me because like I said, I'm very aware of my body, and I try to, and I also taught my students the same thing. Part of being a martial artist was not just being able to be physically fit, but also handling your internal organs and ensuring that they're operating at their optimum peak performance. So when I saw this brown orange, I said, this is not right. But that wasn't the worst part of it. The worst part of what was going on is that I had developed this itching. If anybody has ever caught poison ivory, um, uh, most itching is at the surface level, but this itching was rooted underneath my skin. And no matter how much I scratched in any particular area of my body, I could not satisfy the itch. And the itch was from head to toe. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
constant 24/7. It was just crazy. So this, like I said, this all started, and it started happening very rapidly. Like I said, it was Tuesday when I started noticing things, but it was more Tuesday into the Wednesday early morning, midnight hour, that I noticed that the itching was becoming more and more prevalent, and that my urine was very dark. So I continued to drink water and keep up my routine of eating properly and trying to, do whatever I thought I could do to clear myself, to keep myself healthy. But nothing was working.
What did you try for the itching?
Well, what I tried for the itching, I started taking some of my, herbal treatments, things doing like my juicing, sea moss. The sea moss is one of the things. I also was a follower of Dr. Sebi.
Oh, Dr. Sabi. Okay. We'll have to talk about him on another episode, but okay, yeah. I'm
So
familiar with
I was
Dr.
very aware of
Sabi.
a lot of things that Dr. Sebi about, and even before Dr. Sebi, Dick Gregory.
Right. From St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis, so
Oh, well, God
I
bless
know
you.
about Dick Gregory.
Yes. So, in fact, he was one of the earlier people. Besides growing up in North New Jersey, the Nation of Islam, they were really big on speaking to the brothers and sisters about being health conscious. So I was in that world of being a conscious eater, conscious about my health. I played football, sports, but I digress. Getting back to the issue at hand, of the things that I can try to do is, again, drinking a lot of water, Gatorade, things just to try to flush my system to whatever impurities that were going on in my body. I tried Benadryl, did no good.
Nothing. Wow, still
Nothing
itching.
would work.
So how many days passed before you decided to go to the hospital?
Well, it was after men's Bible study that Saturday morning. I just said, something's not right. And I started to go to my doctor, who's right around the corner from me where I live. And I missed the appointment. His office had closed, so I missed the opportunity to go see him and talk to him about what was going on. And I said to myself later on that Saturday evening that if I don't get any better, if I don't see any results, I'm going to the emergency room. Well, Sunday morning, I woke up and I'm still itching, and it's just unbearable. And just imagine, remember I said the itching was 24/7. I could not stop the itch. That means while I'm sleeping, I'm itching. So I wasn't getting a lot of sleep on top of it. So I went to St. Barnabas in Livingston, New Jersey, and they did some tests that Sunday, and they said, we're going to keep you. I said, okay, fine.
Why?
Because whatever they saw, eventually they didn't like the color of my urine, and the itching that I was having. So they decided to keep me, but they did
Oh.
not divulge anything. They just said, we want to run some tests on you.
Did
So
you ask any questions?
I did ask a lot of questions, but they didn't have any answers.
Wow.
They just
Okay.
said, we want to run some tests. I said,
Okay.
fine, no problem. Do what you got to do. I got good health care. And they said, oh, yeah, he's got health care. Let's take care of him. You're going to get paid anyway. So Monday, I think one of the first tests was a CT scan. So we did the CT scan. And they said, well, we want to run another test. We want to do an MRI. So they did the MRI, and
But did they give you the results of the CT scan, or they just came back and said, we want to do an MRI?
They said, we see something, but we don't know what it is.
Okay.
So we want to do the MRI to see what's going on. But at this point, no one mentioned the word cancer at all. They decided to give me, I think it's called an MRC, which I think is a more concentrated test that looks specifically in the pancreatic liver area.
Uh-huh.
And that was on Wednesday. Well, by Thursday, I met with my doctor, the cancer doctor, and he says, well, we have some good news, but we have some very bad news. And that's when they let me know that I had, they did a, I'm sorry, you go back. Thursday morning, they scheduled me for a biopsy, because what they found was that, and I digress, I missed a very important point. They saw that my bile duct was blocked, and that was on Tuesday. They said, your bile duct appears to be blocked, and that's what's causing your itching, because something's blocking you. So we want to insert a tube in there, so we can open that up to allow the bile duct to flow. And that's the bile duct is the connection between the liver and the pancreas. So they wanted to make sure that we open it up so we can get that flow going, and we want to do a biopsy. Well, we find out that the biopsy came back positive for cancer, which was causing a blockage in the bile duct area that connects between the liver and the pancreas. So I said, well, all right, that's not good. So what do we do from here? They said, well, you're very lucky because you're stage 1. It's in the very early stages, and they said that because of where it happened, it's not on the pancreas, it's not on the liver, but because it's in that transitional period that affects the pancreas, they said, they call it pancreatic cancer. And knowing that pancreatic cancer is one of the worst cancers, every cancer is bad, period. And I don't even know if it's such a term as worst cancer or not, but it's not. It's one of the more, I guess you say, aggressive forms of
Well,
cancer.
but it's usually because we catch it so late. So you're quite fortunate that yours was caught so early. But why do you think yours was caught early? There's a reason.
Well, okay. As a man of faith and in my strong belief in God, I strongly and truly believe God said, I'm not finished with you yet.
Okay.
You still got
Well,
work to do.
I'll give you that. I was hoping for something else. I think there's another reason it was caught early.
Well, I would say it was caught earlier because I had sense enough to go to the hospital and go see a doctor.
Yes. And because you know your body, you noticed that something was not right.
Right.
And rather than ignore it or put it off, you took care of it. So congratulations to you for being proactive, for looking and noticing what was happening with you. You know, a lot of people don't bother to look in the toilet after they go to the toilet, right?
That's
They
correct.
see
Well,
something,
that's true.
or they see something and then they don't ask any questions and they carry on about their business. You didn't do that. So good for you. Say, you know,
Well, when me and you had talked earlier, we had talked about that, and one of the things that that is a problem, especially with African American men, is not paying attention to our bodies. When I was teaching karate, like I said, I talked to my students about their urine, and it didn't matter whether they were children or not. I also talked to them about their stool. I says your stool can tell you a lot of stories about your body based on what you eat and your diet and what's going on.
that's
And oh,
wonderful. You know, most people don't want to talk about poop. They think
uh,
it's nasty, but
well,
that's great.
it's germs. It's not. It's a disease carrying fungus killing
But
poisonous
it's part of all of us, right? It is the natural way the body processes waste, and
That's
so it
correct.
just we have to get past all of our negative feelings about it and really embrace it, because this is what our body does,
Yep,
right?
that is so true.
So let's talk about men. I'm fascinated by this notion that men don't like to go to the doctor and they delay care or ignore their symptoms until the situation becomes dire. Why is that?
You know, um, to be quite honest, for me, that has never been an issue. I guess being an athlete and always wanting to be in tune and always wanting to be healthy. I had no fear of the doctor myself personally. Um, my lifestyle and my educational background and my employment always afforded me the opportunity to be able to go to a doctor, and henceforth there, you know, a lot of because of the economic situation that we find ourselves after 401 years of what we've had to deal with. Um, Medical insurance is very expensive, and a lot of folks just don't have the money or the means to have medical coverage, so they won't go to a doctor.
Do you think that's the biggest reason they don't go?
I don't think it's a big reason. I think it's a big contributor to it, especially I say in the low income families, regardless whether you're black or white. And there's also a macho factor. I would add to that. Men seem to think it's. Let me put it. Let me call it the he-man male factor. Thinks he's so macho and we're so strong, and we don't, how they say, men don't cry in the light, they cry in the dark. Well, sometimes you need to get out there and be out there in the light and go ahead and let it cry. Um, we have to get rid of the stereotypes of that we're invincible and that we can defeat, and we get a little pain here. Oh, what was one of the things we say, when we played football or in karate? Real men don't cry. We bleed on the inside. We don't bleed on the outside, and we cry on the inside. We don't cry on the outside. That is something that men have to give up. You got to start going to your doctors by hook or crook. You got to find a way. At minimum, I say once you hit past the age of 30, you should see a doctor at least twice a year. Minimum, at least once a year. But I'd say at least twice a year, you should at least see your doctor to get a checkup.
So this machismo, I guess, or the invincible feelings of being invincible, that's killing people, wouldn't you
It
say?
sure is.
So how do you think we start? Where do we chip away at this this notion? Or it's almost an armor, isn't it? You've
Well,
got your armor on so that nobody can touch you.
no,
What do we do?
well, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're
What
doing
am
it.
I doing?
Well, right now, from our conversation and our talk, you asked me would I be willing to talk about it. I guess I will be considered one, maybe the typical he-man. within the Black community, the martial artists, black belt, karate studios. I've not only taught karate here in the United States, but internationally trained, ex-military, ex-Air Force. So
You've done a little bit of everything.
yes, I've had quite an
So
extensive
yeah,
life.
okay. So if anybody can get through to other men, maybe it's you.
Hopefully, and I take this opportunity. In fact, when you ask me would I be willing to speak, part of the healing process, and I truly believe this, is that as my pastor and other ministers that I am associated with talked, and even other folks, says you have a testimony. What God is bringing you in this wilderness season at this time, you have the opportunity to help a lot of other people. And for me to sit back and remain quiet and not speak about my health issues and my experiences, whether they were caused by myself, by roller skating, by doing karate, by playing basketball. We twist our ankle. We won't go to a doctor. We'll sit there and we say, oh, it'll go down. No, you don't know if you broke it or not. You don't know if you have a fracture.
But let's talk about that. So they know something is wrong and something is different. Why take a chance? Help me understand the mentality there. What's going on?
That's the $1 million question, because it's, again, all I can attribute that to is the male ego. I cannot, especially, those who are in a relationship, or if you are, in fact, if you are an athlete, you probably walked around with the chip on your shoulder, like, I'm big, strong Lonnie Jones, and, I'm, and it's just an attitude. We look at football players. I love the game of football, but let me tell you, it's not getting fun. It's not fun getting hit by a 320-pound man running at you at full speed, knocking you down. Oh yeah, we spring up, but that spring up is like, yeah, hit me harder. But inside you're saying, man, that was a good hit.
Yeah. So I asked a group of men a few years ago about this. Like I said, I've been thinking about this a lot, because a lot of the health conditions we're diagnosing men with are preventable,
Yes.
So I said, well, what will it take to engage men around health issues, or to get them to think about their health, or at least have a conversation? And someone said, well, if you want to engage men, you have to incorporate 3 things: food, sports, and competition. Is that true?
You know what? That would be, in fact, to add to that, at our church at St. James, and our men's Bible study, that's one of the things we do. We have, doctors that come in, and we'll have a breakfast and just talk about men's health after our men's Bible study. You're right on point. Having an event in a community where, like right now, we're in the football season. You have the playoffs. You throw a bunch of chicken wings out there, and a little bit of beer, and in a relaxing environment. And during the halftime event, you say, look, we got this big screen. We gave you all of this free food, free beer. All we want you to do is, during this halftime presentation, listen to what this doctor has to talk about colon cancer. Here's what this brother here, Lonnie Jones, experienced with pancreatic cancer, because I'm calling it, I'm a survivor already. That's how I feel about it right now. And it's also part of the survivability, I believe, of this of cancer is your whole mental attitude towards this. I believe that being in a good state of mind, having a strong mind, and a will to believe that you can be healed, it's not a utopia moment in which I'm trying to speak of, but if you think bad, then the opportunity for you to really try to uplift yourself and do the things that you need to encourage yourself to do what you need to do to get well. It's also a mind thing. So, um, um, but just to have these conversations with men, something like that, that will work well, or somewhere where there's some money involved.
All right, okay. But listen, I think that's the first step, right? It opens the door to allow people to talk about it. But how do we get them to take the next step, to go get the physical exam, to pay attention to what's in the toilet, to make a change to the way they eat? What's your advice there?
Exactly what you're doing right now.
Really?
Because
Okay.
because I mean, just think about it. How many? Let's think. We're in this new phase of life that we're in with Facebook, um, with Twitter, with Instagram. We see a lot of nonsense on Facebook. Why isn't someone having a Facebook conversation, even if it's only 10 minutes? This 10 minutes could save your life. Um, I was speaking to one of the reverends at the church, and about 10 years ago, we were talking about uh, colonoscopy. And I said, well, I'm going to go have a colonoscopy. And he said, man, I never had a colonoscopy. And I says, how old are you? And I think at that time he was either 50 or close to it. And he said, never had one. I said, what's wrong with you? I said, man, go get yourself a colonoscopy, man. You too old to be running around here not knowing what's going on inside your body.
Did he
Well,
know he was supposed to have one?
he knew he should have had one, and he had talked. He said, yeah, I know, I need to go. He says, but what is it like? I said, man, look, let me tell you. I says, when don't think about the probing that's going to take place, because when you wake up from the after effect of the colonoscopy, you're gonna feel real good, and you're not gonna remember a thing. And I says, and that's a good thing because it may save your life. In this instance, this reverend, this brother I'm talking about, he had, I believe it was third stage cancer in his colon, and they had to remove his colon. Now, just think if I did not have that conversation with him and tell him I was having a colonoscopy, that brother probably would went for maybe another year, maybe. I'm not saying he would have, but he hadn't done it thus far, and I don't want to take credit, or I want to remain humble
Why
from
not?
this perspective. Well,
I
I
mean,
mean,
sometimes that's all it takes, right? Just a little encouragement from someone else, and you did that. So good for
yeah.
you.
Well, okay. I cut myself on the back a little
There
bit.
you go.
So, but the fact is, I think he might not have done it. And here he was already at third stage. Now, and now he's a 10-year survivor of cancer.
Wonderful.
And in fact, he's one of the people that's helping me. And I know he wouldn't mind me calling him out, Brother Reverend Reginald Clark. He's the head of the men's ministry at St. James A&E Church in Newark. And he's actually helping me through this chemotherapy process, the state of depression that I may get, the sicknesses that I may get from it, to describe what chemotherapy is. How they say you got to be in it to win it, or
Yeah.
you got to be in it to kind of understand it, because I don't have any way of describing this. I have another story for you that I didn't get to tell you. I have glaucoma, and I kept seeing these little, my God, and this, um, I attribute the advancement of what I have on glaucoma due to the fact that the signs were there. I saw them. I saw the little starlights in my eyes. Looking at traffic lights, sometimes they didn't look. That would look like a little star feature would come out, and so I got plenty warnings. Well, it goes beyond that. My mother died when I was 11 years old. I didn't know my mother had lost one of her eyes, but it was due to the fact that my mother had glaucoma. I didn't know this. A friend of my mother's, about 3 years ago, we went to her house for a birthday celebration, and she was very close to her mother. And I said, "Did you know that I says, I have glaucoma." I said, "Did you know my mother had glaucoma?" And she says, "Yes, she did." Now, had I known that health history about my mother, now I'm telling my daughter at age 27, I'm telling my brother at 50 that, look, don't joke with this. We have a family history of glaucoma. Now, I'm 65. My mother's been dead since I was 11 years old. My father never told me that.
That is such a great point you're making. Why do you think your family didn't talk about the history of health, chronic health conditions in the family?
Because, and again, it comes from, let me say how I can try to politically say this without being offensive. We seem to think that illnesses in the family is some sort of curse or something bad or
Yeah, it's
something
taboo. We shouldn't talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's utter ridiculous. It's nonsense. It's backwards thinking. I was looking at the words on Harold Melvin and the Blue Note. Wake up, everybody! And it's time for us from a lot of perspective, but from a men's health perspective and from a family health perspective, to wake up and start getting in tune with our bodies. We talk about the doctors can't do nothing for us. Well, of course the doctors can't do nothing. You waited till you get ready to put one foot in the grave, and then you want them to resurrect you. You want them to act like Jesus. And then when they can't resurrect your family member and they can't do anything for you, you look up and say, well, that doctor wasn't no good anyway. They didn't know what they were doing. You blaming the doctor, but the fault is on you because you got a family history that you never discussed. You never talked about grandparents or great grandparents that had died from some disease or whatever. And then you want to, and you don't know that these things are hereditary. Diabetes. I think one thing we do pretty decent with is talk about diabetes, but diabetes ain't the only thing that knocks us out. I could have been blind had I not, and it was my ex that actually got me to go to the doctor. She actually, and that's another thing, my brothers. If you're married, this person sees you day in and day out. They see your eyes, they see your nose, they see your lips, they see your entire body. Guess what? They're observant. If they see something on you that don't look right or see, and they tell you to go to the doctor, just shut up, get up, make an appointment, and go. That's your family. You got a wife, you got children. They see you, just like you may see things about them. You love to want to look about your wife and say, "Babe, you look like you gained a little weight." Well, look like something blurry in your eyes. You want to talk about my weight? Let's talk about your eyes. How about you gonna get your eyes checked? Okay, what's wrong with that limp you got? You've been limping for 6 weeks. Why? And you haven't went to the doctor. You've got loved ones who see these things, and even friends. Don't discount these things. When people see you, if they're close to you, if they're friends of yours, they're intimate with you, they ain't got to be your wives, they be your girlfriend and significant other. You listen to them, because they're not doing it because they're being mean and evil, but maybe you need to go check it out. And
Yeah.
guess what? If it's nothing, then thank God, and then keep it moving.
It's so true. Wow. We will have so many conversations. We might even have to make this a series. You've been full of information. I'm going to let you go. I've held you long enough now, but I want to thank you so much.
Not a problem.
And definitely we're going to stay in touch.
Okay. And I'm going to give you a call later because the program that you wanted to do on Saturday, I want to give you the information for the St. James services so that you can, hopefully we can do what you want to do next Saturday.
Yes, next weekend. Okay.
Right?
All right.
So
Well, thank you so much.
All right.
And we'll talk to you later.
All right. Be blessed. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.